Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on the time you're watching this video. This is Yogesh Agiwal from Cross Leadership Journeys. A very warm welcome to the video on emotional intelligence part 2. And today we're going to talk about how our mind creates thoughts every now and then. Yeah. But before I go into today's topic, I just want to check with all of you how has been so far. How has been your right side, left side processing? Were you able to find some Gita story in yourself? How's your family doing? Are they liking this emotional intelligence? Do post all that you're going through in the comments, and we'll continue to work on this. Yeah, and there will be a few more parts to this, but today's part is the part 2 of emotional intelligence, and we'll talk about how our mind creates thoughts. So when you first saw my video, I think you will have certain thoughts. When you see people around you or you see situation, I think our mind never stops creating thoughts. Now the problem is many of these thoughts are not based on reality, which means it is not based on any data, and we take certain actions on that thought. Now those actions are real actions. Okay, so what happens is that you're taking real actions on something which is unreal. Yeah. So in today's session, we are going to look at how do I practice so that I validate those thoughts which are not real. Okay, and which are we are calling it as automatic stories. So to and in I think in some of the other trainings they call it as perception. So this is essentially how do I manage my perception. And you can't stop that because your mind will continue to create stories, create thoughts, because that is how we operate. But the question is, can I validate what is real and what is not real? Yeah. So let's continue with Gita. Now, Gita is 5 years in crossover, and she is with working with me. This is the fifth year of her working, and we, like she's now become good at presentation. So she does good presentation, not like what you saw in the first part of the video. Now, every day every Monday rather, Geeta gives me the weekly report. Okay, and at 11 o'clock sharp, she gives me the weekly report without fail. It's been 3 years. There has not been a single Monday that she has not given me the report. And I mean, including that, there was her brother's wedding. She came to the office, gave me the report, and then went back to the wedding. Can you imagine the kind of commitment she had? So one Monday, which is in the fourth year of her working, it's 12 o'clock, and she did not give me the report. So I go to her desk and say, Gita, where's the report? And I just come back to my desk without, you know, talking anything more. Now, if you were Gita, what thoughts would come into your mind? Now, bring up your notepad. I think that notepad, I mean, now you should actually get a nice book. Yeah, and write down on the top of the book that my transformation journey with Yogesh Agiwal. Yeah, or my transformation journey. No need to write Yogesh Agiwal. Write down that what thoughts could go in Gita's mind. Okay, so the thought could be, I mean, I gave this report, 3 years without fail. If one Monday, if I didn't give the report, why did Yogesh come and ask me? Possible. Some of you may not have got this thought, but there is a possibility that somebody who has been so committed may have this thought that it is unfair that Yogesh has come and asked me. So at 1 o'clock, we go for lunch together every day in the cafeteria. So her in her mind that story is going on that this is unfair that Yogesh gave me this uh, you know asked me for the report and it's unfair and it's going on in her mind. Yeah, and you would have seen some of the Hindi movies when when the actor's mood is not all right, he throws away the food, which means that if your emotions are not all right, you don't feel like eating, and you would have experienced that at many a time when you're not up when you're upset, you don't feel like eating. So she doesn't eat well, and and I see her, and my automatic story starts that first she did not give me the report. Now she is not eating the food. What could be the reason? Then I say maybe just got married, so maybe some issue at home with the in-laws or whatever. I mean, it's my story. So we both go back to our desk. But 4 o'clock we have to go to one customer visit. Now Geeta's story is still going on about Yogesh. That why did Yogesh, ask me? So in the car, she is very quiet. Now, otherwise, Geeta is very talkative. She would be very talkative, but today Geeta is not at all talking. So my story also continues that she didn't give the report. She didn't eat well. Now she is not talking. So we reach the customer site, and when we are doing the presentation, she misses out on one important slide. Now I get very upset, and then when I come out, and I really shout at her and give her a peace of mind. And when she's coming back, now obviously she is more quieter than what she was when we went, because she is all the more upset that I, shouted at her. So we come to office, and she goes to her desk, and I go to my cabin. And in the evening at 6 o'clock, usually she, says goodbye to me before going. But today she doesn't meet me also. She just goes on her own. And, on the way, she calls her friend called Sita. So Geeta calls Sita. Now, what would Sita tell? So Geeta tells that, Yogesh, today, I mean, didn't 3 years I committed, I gave the report on time. One day I did not give the report. Why did he come and ask me? On that small, mistake on one slide, he shouted at me. I really uh, don't know whether the Azim Premji award that he talks about, is it real or is it fake? Because he can't manage a single person. What is the kind of award he would have got? So Sita tells Geeta, I told you in the beginning only. Now, why do you really work so hard? Don't give the report to Yogesh next Monday. In fact, take leave next Monday. Okay, let him suffer. He'll understand what we are and what manager he is types. So Gita anyway doesn't respond to much what to Sita says, but she comes back next day morning, and I meet her at the elevator. And I just say good morning. She says good morning, and we go back to our desk, and we are just working. At 1 o'clock, when I go to her desk, she says that Yogesh, I have some work, so why don't you go for lunch and I will go a little later. So by Wednesday, Thursday, she has started to go at 2 o'clock, and I go at 1 o'clock, which means our lunch timings have changed. So we now start working very transactionally, meaning when I have work, I go to her. Otherwise, no goodbye in the evening. It is very transactional relationship, and that weekend also passes by. And on Monday, when we are coming back, I'm coming back, and I see her in one of the competitors' buildings reception there. Now my story says that she is applying somewhere, because the entire week she did not give the report, she did not present well, she does not, she changed the lunch timing. So I think she is quitting my organization. And then I come back, and gradually at some point I, tell, get somebody else as a replacement, or Geeta quits, or, we just part ways. In her exit interview, she says, what kind of manager he is, just can't, empathize with the reportee, shouts at a small, mistake, all kinds of issues about Yogesh. In my exit interview, I will say that, this girl Geeta can't even give a report on time. I think we should have sacked her long time back. Now, let's go back, flashback. Let's go back to that Monday when I went to Geeta at 12 o'clock, and I asked Geeta, hey Geeta, uh, where's the report? And I go back to my cabin. Now, the first thought that came to Geeta's mind, that this is unfair. She should get up from her seat, go to Yogesh, and tell Yogesh that, Yogesh, I give you the report every time on time. Today I was caught up with one issue. Hope it is okay. In most probability, I would say that I also don't look at that report, but today the board was asking for the report, so I came and asked you. Matter closed. Now, if Geeta were to apply right side processing with Yogesh, she would come and ask Yogesh that, Yogesh, why did you come, and just ask without asking me whether why was the delay. When we were at lunchtime, if Yogesh were to apply the right side processing with Geeta, Yogesh would say to Geeta that, hey Geeta, what happened here? You're not eating well. Geeta would say, at 12 o'clock you came and asked for the report. I really felt bad. I would say, boss, I don't even look at the report. Board asked me, that's why I asked you. Chapter closed. When we went in the car, if she was to apply right side processing, she can ask me, Yogesh, I'm very upset since afternoon because you asked me about that. Again, I'll respond. When Sita spoke to Geeta, if Sita were to apply right side processing, what would she say to Geeta? Hey boss, Yogesh is not like that here. All that award that he got from Azim Premji is real award. How can Azim Premji give a wrong award here? So you do one thing. Tomorrow morning, go and talk to him and tell him that, boss, yesterday, why did you come and did not even empathize or just ask me, just simply asked and then went to your cabin. I was very upset with that. Now, you will see that whatever happened after that first incident are all real, which means she did not eat was real. She did not speak in the car was real. She went to that competitor's reception was real because she wanted to drop her cousin who is joining that company. That is real. But everything that was real happened to something which was unreal, which means the first thought that came to Geeta's mind was unreal. So if we were to start practicing this skill, that whenever we have certain concern with somebody, whether it is family, whether it is spouse, whether it is your in-laws, whether it is your boss, I know we sometimes don't have the courage to go and talk to our bosses or our spouses or our in-laws, but I think you have to develop the courage and link this with what you did in part one, which means we don't have courage because some childhood story before 9 years of age stops us from speaking up. But if you speak up, you will realize that Geeta would have still continued with Yogesh if I had applied right side processing with her or she had applied right side processing with me. Yeah. So this is a practice that you need to start doing for next 15 days. And then when I come back, after the next 15 days, I might give you a reminder like I gave you last weekend on applying the skills. So don't mind if I come and remind you in between. But I think you should try this out. And it's so beautiful, I tell you, because I have seen this. I told you in my first video that I have done some 176 workshop, and you should see the amount of sharing participants have done over the years. Just phenomenal. In fact, what happens is that when when we are having this contention about somebody, I think it is a direct correlation with our body, which means that for the period when Geeta was upset with Yogesh or Yogesh was upset with Geeta, you can imagine how would be her evening that day. What would be the relationship that evening with her spouse, with her husband, or with her children, or with anybody? Then she's very upset. Whoever she meets, she's very upset during that period. Now, when we are upset, I think if you read medical or if you talk to your doctor, he will say that when you are having a contention about something, your body actually consumes insulin, and there is a reason you might also get diabetes. So when you do right side processing, as I said in my first video, you secrete a lot of endorphins. Yeah. So try and see how soon can I go and clarify whenever I have a doubt with anybody. Yeah. Even if the other party is not agreeing to, discuss or come to terms with you, no problem. If you have done your side, is good enough. You don't need to worry about what the response comes from the other side. Yeah. So don't hold anything. I mean, then you will have a good night's sleep because nothing is. You remember, whatever you resist, persist. Which means if I resist going and talking to somebody, that contention will persist. Yeah. So you have to be building the skills. So you should have no automatic stories about anybody. And you will start laughing at the way your brain can think. I mean, some of the thoughts are just so instant that comes in. Yeah. So you have to start practicing this automatic story for next fortnight. Now, I also want to bring in one more practice that I think all of you should start doing. There are two things. One is, if you guys don't exercise or you don't have a routine of exercise, I think all of you should get into this habit of exercise. And the reason for exercise is that when you exercise, your body secretes endorphins. And if you remember, I said that whenever you are in stress or you are having this contention, your body secretes cortisol. So when you exercise, the endorphins negates cortisol. Yeah. So you create some tension on Monday, do exercise on Tuesday. Create tension on Wednesday, negate it on Thursday, and on the weekend do 2 days exercise. So if you have at least do 4 times a week, I think is a good practice that you all should do. So whether if you like it or not like it, you have to do this exercise. Okay, and you should promise me. You should write in the comments. And generally, after watching the video, the Josh is very high. Yeah. So as soon as the lockdown is over and the gym opens up, immediately start, paying for the gym and starting the gym. That is one. Number two, I think all of you should get into the habit of reading. Okay, so you should read minimum one book a quarter. And the quarter is not the McDonald wala quarter. The quarter is 3 months quarter. Jan, Feb, March, that's a quarter, for example, or April, May, June, that's a quarter. So every 3 months, you should read one book. But remember, two things are going to change your life: the people you meet and the books you read. Now, meeting me may change some of your thought process, but reading books is much more deeper because you can actually see and that's the difference between reading an article and reading a book. Article is very transient, meaning it's very temporary, whereas books are very longer. It has got certain experiences, certain framework. Hence, I request you to read books. And what you should do is that many times people ask me, where do I start? Which book do I read? So what I've done is, if you go to Crossover Leadership Journeys website, which is crossoverleaders.com, you will see under resources section, under books, I have put 12 books that every reader in their life should read. And it's very nice. I've put a paragraph of why you should read the book. And you click on that and you go to Amazon and you can buy the book. Yeah. Now there's no commission to me. It's just for your convenience, I've put it there. So start with that. So I've given you at least 3 years quota to get started. And if you do 3 years, I think you would be, all set for reading rest of your life. And this is a very good idea because, when you read books yourself, I think your children also will start reading, your spouse will also start reading. And there is a nice calmness that will get established at home. And I'm not saying reading like multiple hours. Just read for like 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, enough. If you do that, in my calculation, you can very comfortably finish, one book every 3 months. Yeah. And now with lockdown, I think most of you are at home. So you should actually make the best of this time and get into this habit. And when I'm talking about exercise, don't worry about opening up the gym. Just get started by so many online videos today that are available. So there is this very beautiful YouTube channel called doyouyoga.com or .com, I think. So search for Do You Yoga, and I think you will find some 30-day videos, beautiful videos. Try to use them, practice with them, and get into this routine. Yeah. So remember, you have to start with continue the practice of left side, right side processing. And today's topic was automatic stories. So don't let your automatic stories drive your behavior. Try to validate them. Write your responses of how is it going for you in the comments. And if I am tied up with more program and if I don't reply, don't worry. Sooner or later I will reply. Yeah, and we will be in touch. Thank you so much for your responses, and it's very encouraging to see from the first video itself. So I think we're going to have a great time because the amount of topics you guys have given me, I'm really getting busy preparing videos for all of you. So good. Be safe. Continue to practice and become world-class leaders in whatever profession or whatever work you do, and help your children's also become leader, your spouse also become leader. Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to also tell you is that it's not about just Gita's ability to present. What I want to tell you also is that when Gita starts opening up and she is getting away from the fear that she was carrying, that also shows up in rest of her life, which means that the way she speaks in front of the family, the way she speaks in front of the children, all start changing. So that story is not about deciding to speak freely. The story is about deciding to be very sensitive to look around, and you will find so many Gitas around us. Yeah. And you have to take the responsibility of getting those Gita story out and making them really powerful. Good. So practice for next fortnight, and then in between, if I get a chance, I'll give you a reminder. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next fortnight. Thank you so much. Bye.